Does it look like I have a neck brace on? I've had this scarf on because it's chilly but not chilly. Does it look all right? I'm not hurt, trust me. Connectors, what's up? DK here. Hope you're having a good day. Hey, today I want to talk about voice, the importance of voice. No, this is not a singing lesson. No, I'm not talking about how high or how low your voice. I'm talking about the voice, the active presentation of your organization's mission, methods, programs. How do you put that out there? How do you say it? And again, I don't mean how do you say it in terms of a pitch or a sound. What I mean is the heart, what is emoting out of your voice. And this is something I talk a lot with organizations, especially when we're doing strategic planning or branding or talking about anything like that. And it always comes down to value and voice. And I've done a video on values, and I'll come back to that one at another point. But today, I want to talk voice. Now, too often, the idea of a voice for an organization is sort of left open. It's sort of up to interpretation, or it's up strictly to the executive director or the board chair, or quite frankly, it's up to whatever is the event and whoever is talking, and doesn't really get a lot of formation. And I think that's a big mistake. In fact, I think it's a big miss that if you don't have a unified voice, I guess what I wonder is how is anyone supposed to attach to you, or how is anyone supposed to attach their storyline to your mission and programs if you don't give them that roadmap that includes the way of voice. So let me give you some examples of voice, and I'll use me. I'll use me as a brand. So for me in my consulting, I have a way of presenting myself, and some would argue that this is a brand. Some would argue that it's just a way of doing things. I have a way of talking. I have an approach with shirts, and I wear jackets a lot, and I have this weird sort of thing, my hair, all this stuff. Very often we look at these things as branding elements. What is your brand? And so some people who may say, well, your brand is sort of the hair and the crazy talk and all this kind of stuff. What I want to focus on, though, is how I present with my voice. So I look at things and say, when I'm talking to organizations, what should I be presenting and how should it come out? Now, to me, for my brand, for my organization, for Connect the Dots movement in general, and for me personally, I look at my voice as wanting to be playful, wanting to have some humor. I want to combine the knowledge and skills that I bring to the table, but bring it in a way that is approachable. And so these words are not just sort of guessed and not just sort of put out there and not talked about. I intentionally say these things, playful and approachable and humor, and I want to make sure that that's incorporated in what I do. Now, there are always different places and spaces where you have to adjust your voice based on who you're talking to. If you're in the room with major donors and you're talking about them giving a legacy gift or providing dollars in a will to give to your organization, that's a sort of a different kind of conversation that's going to require certain emotions, and maybe some others like way too much humor and things like that should be left out. But in talking in general terms about what an organization does, establishing these voices are important. And so I do it in a very simple way. I ask the client, or ask an organization or its board or its leadership, when you see the fulls, playful, hopeful, when I ask an organization about what they want to talk to, I say, how do you describe the words you use? Are you somber? Are you serious? Are you playful? Are you happy? Are you inspirational? Are you educational? Are you very matter of fact? Stats, that kind of thing. You establish those as, in essence, your baseline. So for anything, whether it is on radio, whether it's on TV, whether it's on a podcast, whether it's on a video, whether it's in a presentation, or remarks, anything that you're putting pen to paper or typing out different words or approaches to present your organization and its mission and programming, how do you want it to write? And if you can get some consistency on that, then you're establishing your voice. You're putting together what it is your voice as an organization, and what it also does is gives people a playbook. So when you have a board chair speaking at another event and he or she is there, maybe in the capacity of their actual business, their day-to-day work, but in it, they're going to be saying remarks about being a board chair of an organization like ours. Well, I want to make sure that what they have to say is their words, but the voice also gives the listeners a sense of what it is to be in that organization. So it's not just this person talking about an organization, it's this person expressing themselves through an organization, through the voice they had. Even if you don't realize this, you are focused on your voice every time you're writing, every time you put something on your website, every newsletter, every ask, every time you have any kind of talking points going to yourself, your staff, your board, your volunteers. Anytime somebody puts a mic in somebody's face or has them write something that's going to go in a paper or on a website, your voice consistently should be presented. And if it isn't, that's where I suggest that folks get together and figure out what their voice is. So guys, take a second. Take a second in your strategic planning. Take a second in your marketing. Take a second in your fundraising. And ask yourself, what is the voice we want to present for this? Without doing that, you are going to make things in silo. You have a task to make something like a website or a newsletter, and it's written and then put out. And then you have a development letter, and that's written and put out. And you have all these things that are done in parallel, but are not connected. And so what happens, you have a really good chance of having all those things have different types of voice being put into it. And so there's not a consistency in that voice, and therefore there is an inconsistency within your messaging. So just think about this. I always say it's the two V's. There's value and voice. And value, as I mentioned before, we had talked about, and I'll probably do another video on values because it is so important. But the voice is another thing that you really need to capture. And if you really get the captured voice, what you want your organization to speak with, the instrumentation, how you want it to emote itself and go out to the public, this will set up an amazing amount of programming work, an amazing amount of marketing work, an amazing amount of your administration needs, and will make all of your players, board, staff, volunteer, donors, they'll all have a better chance to really speak on behalf of the organization and speak through their heart into what it is that they do and why they're excited to be a part of it. So think about voice. So guys, I'm going to end it there. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I really do appreciate it. My name is DK and I'm with Connect the Dots Movement. If you're interested in, sending me an email, asking me questions, things like that, shoot me an email here, doug@connectthedotsmovement.org. Also, if you like this video and you want to share it around with everybody, you can check it out on Facebook right here, facebook.com/connectthedotsmovement. We're also on Twitter, so you can follow us on Twitter and retweet when we say something fun and witty. Sometimes it's not my fun and wit, but you can check us out here, twitter.com/WeConnectDots. And finally, if you as an organization are interested in doing some work together and collaborating with Connect the Dots Movement, please send me that email at doug@connectthedotsmovement.org and we'll set up a consultation. Believe me, it's fun just to talk, just to get together. Let's share what it is that you're doing, maybe what your voice is or what your values as an organization. And if they're in alignment with Connect the Dots Movement, let's go. Let's make something happen. So guys, thanks so much for hanging out with me. I do appreciate it. Thanks so much for hanging out. My name is DK. I'm with Connect the Dots Movement, and you have just been connected. See you around. Nonprofit power.